All right, let's jump right in. Today we're tackling a huge question for pretty much every developer out there. Which AI coding assistant should you actually be using? We're going to break down the big three, Claude, Gemini, and Grok, to help you figure out which one is the right partner for your next project.
You know, having an AI copilot can feel like a genuine superpower. But let's be real, it can also be a massive headache. You've got all this incredible power at your fingertips, but getting these tools to spit out clean, working code that actually fits into your project, well, that's the real trick, isn't it? So how do you pick the right tool? And maybe even more important, how do you get it to listen?
So we're going to zoom in on three of the most interesting models out there right now, Claude, Gemini, and Grok. And what's cool is that they each have their own personality, their own unique strengths. Think of them as specialists you'd call in for different kinds of jobs. Let's get to know them.
Okay, think of this chart as the player's stats card for each model. This really gets to the heart of what makes them different. Claude is all about refactoring. Grok is your researcher, hooked up to the live web. And Gemini, it's the prototyper with its very own sandbox to play in. Just knowing these signature features is half the battle in figuring out which one to use and when.
So first up, we have Claude, who we're calling the Refactor Pro. And honestly, its killer feature is the interface. It presents all the code in this super clean, separate frame, which makes copying and downloading a breeze. What's even better is when you ask it to refactor something, it just updates the code right in that same frame. You can literally watch your code get better step by step. Now the big catch? The free version is pretty stingy with its usage limits.
All right, next up, Gemini. So if Claude is the purist, think of Gemini as this powerful all-in-one workstation. Seriously, this thing is built for heavy lifting. It has a massive capacity and, well, a pretty unique secret weapon under the hood. Gemini's whole approach is just raw power. It has this huge 1 million token context window. What does that mean? It means it can hold a massive code base in its memory all at once. It can even run the Python code it writes to try and find bugs for you. Now, what's the catch? Well, if you push it too hard, either with too much context or by making it think for too long, the quality of its responses can start to dip. It's an absolute powerhouse, but you've got to be a careful operator.
Now that code execution feature, it's a total game changer. It's like having an automated debugger that catches basic syntax errors. But it's also a double-edged sword. See, it runs in its own little sandbox, so if your code needs a private library or some obsolete package it doesn't have access to, it'll just fail. The fix? You gotta get ahead of it in your prompt. Tell it specifically to avoid those external dependencies.
And that brings us to our third contender, Grok. Grok's whole identity is being the real-time scout. It isn't stuck in the past with old training data. Nope, this one's hooked up to the live web, constantly out there searching for the latest info and code snippets.
So Grok's connection to the live web, it's superpower for sure, but it's also its biggest weakness, its Achilles heel. It's fantastic for finding solutions for brand new libraries or the latest APIs. But the internet is a messy place, right? So it can just as easily pull up some outdated code from an old forum post. With Grok, you've got to be ready to verify everything it brings back.
So what's the final verdict? Well, it's pretty clear. There's no single winner here. The best AI pair programmer isn't one specific tool. It's about picking the right tool for the specific task you have in front of you right now.
Okay, so you've picked your AI partner for the day. Great. Now, how do you actually get it to do what you want without pulling your hair out? The secret, it turns out, isn't really about the AI itself. It's all about the prompt. It's about how you give your instructions. And this right here is the strategy. You have to be the boss. Think of your prompt like you're writing a contract. Rule number 1, make the AI repeat the goal back to you in its own words. Then, tell it exactly what code not to touch. Demand complete functions, not just lazy little fragments, and make it follow your style guide. Seriously, being this strict up front will save you hours of pain later.
So before you even ask it to do anything, you need to give the AI a briefing. Think of this as its setup file. You tell it the exact programming language and version, your target operating system, and a full list of all your libraries and their specific versions. Providing this context is it's non-negotiable if you want code that actually works.
Right. So even with a perfect prompt, you're still going to run into some of those classic AI problems. It's just part of the game. But the good news is they're pretty predictable, which means they're also avoidable. Let's walk through the biggest traps and how you can sidestep them.
Oh, this is one of the most frustrating things ever, right?
You ask for a script, and the AI gives you code that needs a library version from 5 years ago, or it mixes and matches packages that just don't work together. It's a fast track to dependency hell.
So how do you fix this? You have to be absolutely ruthlessly explicit. Leave zero room for guessing. In your prompt, tell it the exact Python version you're using. List out every single important library and the specific version you need. And here's a pro tip. If you can, paste in snippets from the official docs to show it what good looks like. Don't let it guess, ever.
Do you ever have this happen? You fix an error, explain it to the AI, and then 10 minutes later it makes the exact same mistake again. Yeah, that's what happens when its context gets, well, contaminated. Honestly, don't even bother fighting it. The easiest and fastest solution is usually to just start a new chat session. Give it a clean slate.
Oh man, this one is dangerous. You ask for a tiny change in one file, and the AI decides to helpfully refactor 3 other files, and suddenly your whole project is broken. To avoid that chaos, you have to give it a command. First, give me a list of all the changes you plan to make before you write the code. And then lock it down. Tell it, only make changes inside this one file.
So we've talked about the models, the prompts, how to avoid the pitfalls, but what's the single most critical piece of this entire puzzle? Well, it's not the AI, it's you.
You have to remember this, always. The AI is an incredibly powerful tool, but it is just a tool. It cannot and it does not replace your expertise, your judgment, or your responsibility. You are the programmer. You are the one in charge.
And what that means in practice is this. You absolutely must review every single line of code the AI gives you. Never, and I mean never, blindly trust it with security. It has zero real understanding of what makes code secure. And finally, you have to be aware that the code it generates might have licensing issues if it's too similar to stuff it was trained on. The final sign-off is always on you.
And hey, keep in mind, this whole field is moving at warp speed. There are new models popping up all the time, like DeepSeek and Qwen 3, that look really promising. You've even got open source models you can run right on your own machine. They give you total privacy, which is awesome, but they're usually a bit less powerful and you might spend more time debugging what they give you. The point is, the game is always changing.
So really, the big question isn't just which AI you're going to use, it's about how you're going to lead it. The AI is your co-pilot, sitting there ready for orders. But you are, and you always will be, the captain of the ship.